Hi, everyone. My name is Victoria. I am a registered kinesiologist here at Cambridge Cardiac Care Center. And today we are discussing how to set goals and create action plans. So on this slide, you're able to see our learning objectives. So today we're going to talk about how to write a vision, goal, and action plan, as well as where you can find some additional tools to help. So before we get into the lecture a little bit, I'm just going to show you a quick video that's put on by Cardiac College. This talks about the steps required to create a plan for change and why this is so important.
Finding out you have cardiovascular disease or diabetes can be overwhelming. Improving your health usually involves making changes to your habits, and it's tough to commit to these changes. This weekly challenge will help you get motivated and teach you the steps to create a plan for change. Building new, healthier habits can be achieved through 3 simple steps. Define your vision, set a goal, and build an action plan. First, develop your vision. A vision is about how you want to see yourself in the future. Answering these questions will help you develop that vision. What do you see yourself doing? How would you be feeling? Who are the people you are surrounded by? Are you healthier? And how do you know? You might see yourself with more energy and doing things like spending time with your family, traveling, or playing your favorite sport. It might just be sleeping through the night and doing your day-to-day activities more easily. Once you have your vision, write it down. Putting your vision on paper is a way to make it real to you. Put your vision in a place where you can see it every day, as a simple reminder that your future is why you're making these lifestyle changes right now. Once you have a clear vision, you need goals. Goals will help you get to your vision. A vision to have more energy, for example, can be achieved by setting goals to sleep better, eat healthy, exercise regularly, and manage your stress. You may already be doing one or more of these habits. Keep doing the things you are doing well. If you are just getting started, avoid making too many changes at once. Pick one goal and go from there. This is going to take some time. The next step is to make an action plan to help you achieve that goal. Divide your goal into smaller steps each week. Ask yourself, what am I going to do this week? When am I going to do it? Where am I going to do it? How much am I going to do? And how often am I going to do it? Using the example of a goal to eat healthy, an action plan for the week may look something like this. This week, I will eat more vegetables. At dinner time. At home. 1 extra cup of vegetables. 3 days this week. Once you make your action plan for the week, make sure you feel this small change is important to you. You are ready to do it, and you are confident that you can do it. At the end of the week, reflect on what went well and what didn't go as planned. Solve the problems that get in your way, and try these steps. Describe the problem. What stopped you from doing your action plan? Brainstorm and think of other ways to achieve your goal. Pick one idea to try. Build your next action plan. And try a new idea if the first one didn't work. Keep these ideas and tips in mind when you feel ready to start building your vision, goals, and your action plan for the week. Get started with small changes to your habits and see yourself progress from there. Remember, A small change to your habits is a big step closer to better health.
Okay, so on the slide, there are a few tools that you can use to help kind of create your goals, visions, and action plans. You're able to use the Cardiac College Guide that's pictured on the left side. This is accessible through the Cardiac College website. You can also use the goal setting and action plans workbook that your cardiac rehab team has provided to you in the program. So, starting off, we know that there are three simple steps to make a change. And this can be applied in the health sciences with health behavior change, like quitting smoking, following a healthy diet, that sort of thing. But this is also used in the business and management world as well. So, you really can apply this framework to many other areas. The first step is to define your vision. The second step is to set a goal. And the third step is to create a weekly action plan. So, really, in this session, we're going to break down each of these steps a little bit more and get to know them a little better. The reason that we're doing all of this is because we know through research, one of the best ways to make a change in our life is to set a goal and create an action plan, right? Goal setting is really important. Goals do drive changes in our behavior, which kind of first starts with identifying there is a problem or something you would like to change. So, the first step, step number one, is to define your vision for the future. We're going to talk a little bit about how to do that, but I just wanted to show you this visual of a mountain that I've put on the slide here first. This is kind of how I like to picture, the process for goal setting. So at the top of the mountain, there is your step one to create your vision. This is kind of the, where do you see yourself in 1, 2, 3 years from now? What are you doing? How are you feeling? Kind of like the be all end all, if you will, the big picture. Step two, more the middle of the mountain, is to create your goals to help you get to that vision, to climb the mountain. And then step three, the more day to day, is to create effective action plans. This is more of the foundation of the mountain. And I hope this will make a little bit more sense in a minute. So, talking more about how to define your vision, the first thing I want you to think about is, what do you see yourself doing? Is there something in particular that you are hoping to return to? So, some patients I know are hoping to return to work. I had one patient in particular, all he wanted to do was play tennis again. Some people want to be able to travel the world safely, and others just want to get through the day and feel pretty good about doing that, right? So, your vision doesn't have to be this, huge thing. It could be a little bit on a smaller scale as well. But I do ask you, what do you see yourself doing? Could be 1 year from now, 2 years from now, or even up to, 5 years from now. So, what do you see yourself doing? And how will you be feeling? So I encourage you to tie an emotion to this experience. You may feel excited for what's to come if you're, resuming travel, playing a sport that you loved and have played your whole life. Now you're safe to do that again. You may be feeling a little bit less anxious or have less anxiety. You've learned more about how to self-manage your heart condition. You may realize you have a lot more time on your hands, right? Because you may not be coming to cardiac rehab and all of our, doctor's appointments, that sort of thing. So, what do you see yourself doing and how will you be feeling? And then, are you healthier? So, if so, how do you know? And I always make it very clear to patients that being healthier does not look a certain way, right? This can be and is individualized for each patient. So this may mean that your doctor told you, your blood work came back a lot better, cholesterol has improved, your blood sugars are under better control. It may be that your blood pressure is better under control with the medications, diet, quitting smoking, that sort of thing. It could be that you lost a little bit of weight, or in some cases, it could be that you gained a little bit of weight and muscle, things like that. So, are you healthier? If so, how do you know? Another common example I like to use of this, specifically in a cardiac population, is you may be able to, go up and down the stairs without becoming as short of breath, or you're able to do your everyday activities and it doesn't feel as taxing to your body. So again, I just want you to think, are you healthier and how do we know that? Because being healthy does not look one way. And then who are you surrounded by? So who is in your vision with you? It could be, loved ones, friends, family. Maybe you really like your neighbors. You could have 7 dogs. I don't know. So ask yourself, who are you surrounded by? Who's kind of in that vision with you? Okay, so this is step one, define your vision. Once you have defined your vision, I do want you to write it down. We know that, when you write things down, you're more likely to stick to it, right? For example, when you go grocery shopping, a lot of people will make a grocery list, right, to help keep them on track. Think of this kind of the same way. Write down your vision because this is going to make it real to you. You could do so on the handout we've provided to you in cardiac rehab, or you could use the Cardiac College website. And if you're a little bit more creative than I am, I've left you a big space on the handout. So you could even draw it out, right? If you're more creative, you could draw out that vision, you could write it down or whatever it may be. So once you have your vision decided, where do you see yourself in 1 to 5 years from now? Write it down. That is step one. So step number two is to set a goal. So this is a lot, easier said than done. And I'm sure most of you have heard of New Year's resolutions, and there are many things that can go wrong with New Year's resolutions, and there's a few reasons for that. Today's discussion is to get you thinking more about how to set an appropriate, realistic, effective goal for yourself. The problem is sometimes with New Year's resolutions, we set such high expectations moving into the new year. So, for example, somebody who maybe has never really been to a gym before, their goal may be to go to the gym 7 days a week. And that can be a very overwhelming task. And that's a lot of work for somebody that's maybe not comfortable doing that. A more realistic New Year's resolution would be, to start with twice a week, for example, kind of on a smaller scale. So step two, set a goal. We know a few things about goal setting. You are more likely to achieve a goal if you believe it is important. So I don't care who you are. If you set a goal that doesn't matter to you, you're probably not going to get very far, right? Your goals have to be important to you. That really drives us to try to achieve them. So my goals and your goals might be a little bit different, but it doesn't matter what I think, right? It should be important to you. Again, that's going to help keep you on track and keep you motivated even when times are a little bit more difficult, if you're not seeing immediate results, that sort of thing. So if you don't care about the goal that you have set, we need to change the goal. The second kind of point I want to make is that you need to feel confident that you can do it. So the example that I like to give, if my goal was to run a half marathon by next week, I would not feel very confident in my ability to do that. I haven't been training for a marathon. I haven't been overly strict with watching the calorie intake that I'm consuming. That's going to be something that I'm not confident to achieve. Instead, a goal that may be a little bit more realistic is that I want to be able to walk 3 kilometers in 35 minutes by the end of the month, right? That is maybe something that I feel more confident in my ability to achieve. So if you don't feel confident and it's an unrealistic expectation, we do need to adjust the goal a little bit. And the third point I want to make is that you also need to feel ready to work on it. So I always say to the cardiac rehab patients in the gym, just by all of you showing up and coming to class twice a week, that tells me you're ready to work on a more, vigorous exercise routine. You're coming here twice a week. We want you exercising at home, right? 5 to 7 days a week for half an hour. Just by showing up, that tells me, that you're ready to start an exercise routine and learn more through the education that we provide. An example that some patients may struggle with may be smoking cessation or quitting smoking. So this is something that is very, very difficult. We know smoking cessation is not easy. That's why many people can have an unsuccessful quit attempt. But one of the big things you need to think about is you have to feel ready to address it and work on it. If you're not ready to do that, right? If you're not ready to work on quitting smoking, you're not going to get very far with that goal. So pick and structure your goals based off something that you are ready to work on, step by step, day by day. So your goals should be SMART. So SMART, SMART, is an acronym for goal setting. This is a framework that we suggest because it helps really make a clear goal for you, and it's kind of well structured. So what do I mean by that? When you're creating a goal, the first thing you want it to be is specific, right? What exactly is your goal? The second thing you want your goal to be is measurable. So how will you track your progress? You need to be able to track what you're doing. So for example, on the previous slide, I mentioned my goal was to, walk 3 kilometers in 35 minutes. I can measure my progress by checking, the time it takes me on my walks to walk 3 kilometers, right? I can track my time over the next few weeks and see if I'm kind of getting quicker and getting to my goal. Achievable. So is your goal realistic? So coming back to my example about the half marathon, right? If my goal was to run a half marathon by next week, that's probably not realistic because I haven't been training for a half marathon, right? It needs to be something that is realistic for you. And of course, if you have more questions about kind of setting a goal that's appropriate for you, especially when it comes to exercise, I do encourage you to reach out to your cardiac rehab team because they can kind of work with you as well to support you with regards to goal setting. Okay, it also has to be relevant. So does your goal align with your overall plan or vision? So for example, if my vision was to have more energy to play with my grandchildren, like the cardiac college video mentioned, my goals should focus on things to improve my energy, right? So diet, sleep, stress management, exercising, those are all goals that will help my energy. It wouldn't make sense for me to set a goal about going on a Ferris wheel, right? If I wanted to help improve my energy, that doesn't make any sense. So the goal has to align with your overall plan to help keep you on track. And then lastly, I think this is very important. Your goal has to be time bound or timely. You need to have a deadline. So this is something that sometimes we don't always have with New Year's resolutions. You need to give yourself a time and a deadline. So for example, my goal that I mentioned about wanting to walk 3 kilometers in 35 minutes, my deadline is by the end of the month. You need to give yourself kind of that deadline to offer a point for reflection, right? At that point, you can reflect and say, okay, did I achieve my goal? Yes or no? If not, what can I do differently? So having a deadline allows you to kind of have that reflection period about where to go from here, depending on how you did with your goal. So again, your goal should be SMART, SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and have a time-bound deadline. I always like to say to the patients in the gym, if you were to write down your goal on a piece of paper and give it to a complete stranger that you've never met before, they should know exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So your goal should not just be what you're going to do, but it's also how, right? How am I going to achieve that goal that I have set? And then that stranger could look at it and give you feedback, that sort of thing. But again, just being said, the goal should be SMART. And then this is just a nice example that is provided by our friends at the Ottawa Heart Institute about setting SMART goals. So really getting into a good example of this. So the top kind of area talks about making your goal specific. So decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Instead of saying, I plan to eat healthier, you could say, starting next week, I will try to eat 3 servings of veggies each day, 1 serving at lunch, 1 for an afternoon snack, and then 1 at dinner. So that kind of goal, it goes from a level 1 to a level 4, right? It's much more detailed. If you say, I plan to eat healthier, well, that doesn't really tell us too much, right? You could eat healthier in many ways. How are you going to do that? And then measurable. So instead of saying, I want to be able to walk further, this patient wants to walk 5 kilometers at the Ottawa race by increasing their walks by 1 kilometer each week, right? So that is a great measurable goal because they're able to track, the distance that they're walking week to week to try to get their goal of 5 kilometers. It should also be achievable. So instead of saying, I will walk more, right? I want to know how you're going to do that. So this patient decided if they take the bus and they're going to get off 3 stops early, do this 5 days a week and kind of walk the rest of the way home, right? That's a really great way to implement walking a little bit more. It should be relevant or rewarding. So instead of saying, I came to cardiac rehab because my doctor told me to, it should be, I want to exercise more so I can become less short of breath, have more energy, better quality of life, that sort of thing. So again, I always like to tell our patients, coming to cardiac rehab via your doctor's recommendation is a good way to kind of get you in the door, but it's not going to keep you there, right? This goal and this program, it has to matter to you for you in order to kind of continue with it and succeed, that sort of thing. So if your only motivation is because your doctor told you to, we want to make it into something that you are able to value yourself, right? Then you're more likely to stick to it, especially in the long term. And then, like we already discussed a little bit, having a time frame or a deadline. So instead of saying, I will be sure to talk about it with my doctor at our next visit, you could say, I'm going to call my doctor by the end of the week and then try to set up an appointment for treatment options. So, of course, you may not get in by the end of the week, but you're getting the ball rolling, right, by reaching out to your doctor's office and trying to set up that appointment. Okay, so once you have your goal, you need to write it down. So you can do so again on the handout, or you can use the Cardiac College website as well. Again, writing your goals down makes it real to you and it can help keep us accountable. Okay, step 3 is to create your action plan. I like to call this the no excuses slide. So this is really the who, what, where, when of goal setting. It's going to give us all the information that we need to help create an effective goal. So for example, if my goal is to, begin a regular resistance training workout regimen, this is an example of what my action plan may look like. So this week I will what? I'm going to do resistance training exercises. And the when would be Tuesday and Friday at 7 p.m. So pick a day, pick a time for your exercise. If you really struggle with motivation, you could put it in your calendar just like any other appointment, right? Treat your exercise as an appointment. Tuesday and Friday at 7 p.m. That's when I've selected to do my resistance training workout. Where am I going to do it? I'm going to do it at home. If you're a member of a gym or another facility, you could do that there as well. That would be great. How much? I'm going to do 1 set of my exercises and I'm going to do 10 repetitions to start. And then how often? I'm going to do it 2 times this week. So Tuesdays and Fridays at 7 o'clock, like I mentioned. Importantly, you then need to ask yourself, how confident are you in your ability to kind of achieve this plan? So 1 would be not very confident, and then 10 would be kind of max confidence, very confident. And then I've selected a 7. So I'm about 7 out of 10 confident in my ability to do my resistance training Tuesdays and Fridays at 7 p.m. And asking yourself how confident you are is really important because if I picked like a 1 or a 2, really anything less than 7, I wouldn't be very confident, right? That would probably be a small amount of confidence. And if that's the case, that tells me I should adjust my action plan and my goals. So the moral of the story with regards to confidence is that you want to be at least 70% confident, right? 7 out of 10 confident in your ability. If you are less than that, let's adjust your action plan a little bit, right, to make it more realistic for you. Okay, so once you have your action plan, again, write it down. You can do so in the handout or on the Cardiac College website. And you want to create an action plan for every goal that you set. Again, I like to say it's the no excuses slide. It really helps to outline exactly what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. So if you gave a stranger your action plan, they should know exactly what you're going to do to achieve your goal. And then something really important that we don't always think about when it comes to goal setting is reflecting on how you're doing. And I mentioned, New Year's resolutions earlier. This is where some New Year's resolutions can go wrong, right? We need a deadline and we need to reflect on our progress to see how we're doing. So I do encourage you, anytime you set a goal and make an action plan, ask yourself what went well and what did not go as planned. Then, by doing this reflection, you can try to figure out exactly what we need to do to make some changes. So, for example, back to my action plan here, my reflection might look something like this. So, what went well this week, Tuesday at 7 p.m., I did my resistance training session. It went really well. It felt challenging, but I felt confident in doing it. What did not go as planned? Friday at 7 o'clock rolled around. I had a long week and I was way too exhausted to do my resistance training. So, by reflecting on what did not go as planned, I can try to solve problems for next time and prevent this from happening. So, if I'm too tired Fridays at 7 p.m. after the work week, maybe I try to do my exercise at, 6 or 7 in the morning, or maybe Friday is one of the rest days that I have, right? And instead, I make sure I'm exercising Thursday and Saturday, for example. So asking yourself what went well, what did not go as planned, allows you to look at how you're doing, monitor your progress, and then solve problems as needed. So please do not discount how important reflection is. If it's easier for you to kind of pick a certain day of the week that you can do your reflecting, that's great too, right? Many people like to keep a routine. I like the idea of Sundays for some reason. You could maybe spend a little bit of time Sunday night asking yourself, what went well, what did not go as planned, and then how are we going to solve problems for the next time? And then just a little quote here to finish up that I kind of pulled off Google, I thought was very fitting about reflection and the importance of it. We do not learn from experience, but we learn from reflecting on experience. So, again, really just trying to emphasize that we do need to have a period of reflection, which can help us in our, goal setting plans. And then just recapping what we discussed today. So we talked about how to write a vision, goal, and action plan, as well as where to find some more tools to help, Cardiac College being a big one. And that is actually it from me today. So I do hope that you were able to take some new information away about goal setting, and this kind of acts as a nice starting point for you with regards to goal setting, action plans, and making your vision. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a great day.